Okay, let's talk about LinkedIn for a second here. So, LinkedIn is a great tool to utilize if you're trying to build connections. I don't really see it as a thing to like sell outright. Like, this is a long term play. It's to introduce yourself, it's to make yourself known. Trying to get someone on a call right then and there is just like, it's spam and it's fucking shitty. So, that's not my strategy. Like, yeah, you can play that game, but it's a percentage of a percentage game, like most marketing is. And that percentage is very low compared to something like Google ads or Facebook ads. So not my favorite thing to do. I like high percentage, high ROI, things of that nature. I mean, I guess you get good ROI spamming people, but regardless, let's go dive into what I want to talk about here. So we don't need to pay for something like LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is like a great way to like it really allows you to go above and beyond in trying to scrape data or find the right connections for your account, but yeah, it's kind of pricey. I'm cheap. I don't want to spend $100 a month on something that you can probably just do for free, or we can put that $100 a month towards something else like Phantom Buster, which we'll talk about in a second here. LinkedIn is essentially, in my opinion, like you don't need this. You don't necessarily need this. Like it's cool, but for what we're trying to accomplish here and trying to understand marketing opportunities and so on and so on, yeah, it's really just not necessary. So let's say you're a painting contractor and you're trying to work with like residential clients and commercial clients. Like there's a lot that you can do with LinkedIn. So the first example I'm going to give you is I have a client out in Owensboro, Kentucky, and they're trying to expand into the residential market. So all I did was a simple search for realtor and then filter it by people in the greater Owensboro area, and then just chose the industry as professional services, real estate equipment. I mean, these probably aren't as applicable. We could just do real estate. Something cool is like we can filter it by real estate and commercial real estate. I mean, I already did the search, but let's just see what it looks like with just real estate alone. 230 results. So here's about 230 people that we can potentially market to. Some are hidden by connections. You want to build up some connections so you can expand your reach and see more people. But that's still a good amount. So 200 people, like I guarantee this client doesn't know these 200 people. So yeah, let's talk about how we can apply this to us. So, and then just for quick examples here, get out of here messaging. I don't care to see you. It's just a bunch of spam. That's why I hate on LinkedIn marketing is I just get pissed off about it all the time. You could even have commercial real estate. So if you're really interested in building commercial real estate connections, here's 6 people. For this client in particular, like these 6 people are absolutely detrimental to them. Like in my opinion, like they should absolutely go out of their way to introduce themselves, build a connection, try and have them there's so much you can do. Like this is really where just like trying to schmooze people over is a huge play. Just sending a cold message of like, hey, blah, 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 I'm with blah, 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 and we do blah, 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 blah is stupid. That's not the idea behind this strategy, or at least that's not how I'm going to approach something like this. We'll get onto this in a second. So let's go also look for another example of like property managers. If we search property managers in this area, you get about 300 people that show up. So there might be some overlap between the realtors and property managers, but let's just say it's like about 500 people total. Like that's a good solid little network, and they service much more than the greater Owensboro area, but this is just their primary service area. Like they can always expand this to new other places. So for example, let's go take a look at Bowling Green. So that's an area where they're thinking about expanding into. So Bowling Green, Kentucky. Let's just filter that. 450 people in that area. So there's tons of opportunity when we take a look at LinkedIn for certain things like this. So yeah, we now have just uncovered like, okay, LinkedIn is a great tool for finding people. But if you're hearing me say, hey, we don't need a message to these people, we don't need to do this, this is pointless, like that's just spamming and we don't want to spam people. Here's where automation comes into play. Phantom Buster is this cool tool. I haven't used it in a while, but it's absolutely applicable to something like this, is you can LinkedIn search export. So we can scrape all the data of what we just did of this search is like, for example, all these realtors, all these property managers, we can scrape that data with this automation flow. And then on top of that, we can scrape the data off that profile. So we could potentially collect emails, maybe a phone number. Most likely it's just going to be emails. But that way we don't have to make it look directly like, hey, we're coming from LinkedIn and spamming you. Like you can make this a lot different. Or you can just use it as a like, oh, here's some key people we need to reach out to. So Yeah, this is why I'm saying like you can absolutely. Oh, sorry, and you can even like connect with them. But that's where some other automation tools. I think Dripify is the right tool for that, if I'm recalling correctly. Really, I see Phantom Buster because there's less risk just scraping data. There's more risk associated once you're doing these third-party tools for outreach and automation to actually build these connections within LinkedIn. Like that is absolutely viable. But yeah, personally, I think the scraping data off of LinkedIn, getting email addresses, and then coming up with tactics of like, okay, here's some core people. So, for example, if we go back to this commercial realtor, let's just see if there's other people in other areas. So, let's go Bowling Green. Does this expand? How many people? 15 results. So like these are really important people in my opinion for this client. So we could use I mean you don't even it's 15 people is manageable. Like you could just go manually build these connections yourself. Interact with them, share insights, try and be friendly, not sell anything, just keep yourself top of mind for these 15 people. But if you really want to have this data off to the side, like in a spreadsheet somewhere, you can just scrape it off and now you just have it here. And then you can build it of like, okay, we're going to invite them out to a company lunch or something like that. And then you can just slowly try and build these connections over time. So that's my approach to LinkedIn. Hope other people find this beneficial. Yeah, give me a shout if you have any questions.